Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Smart Marketer Show. How's everybody doing today? Good to see all your faces. What's up, Pep? What's up, Brad? Good to see you again. Aggie, Rachel, Arian, Ebony. What's up, lady? Hey, Nathan. Nathan, did you get your run in yet today? Hey, Scotty. Hey, Marco. What's going on, y'all? Say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're from. Thank you so much for showing up live. As you guys know, just to get this out there, this is being recorded. I know most of you like to watch the recording of these and other webinars that we do. So you will get the recording of episode 2 of the Smart Marketer Show as soon as Paul gets it edited and out there to all of you. Loveland, Colorado, beautiful. Brad, you're finally coming into spring. Yeah, Nathan's in Rocky Mountain High. Marco's in Serbia. That's awesome. Okay, guys, so we are going to get kicked off. We will follow the same exact format that we did in episode 1, the same segments. But today I have a very special guest. So today's guest, Mr. John Grimshaw, is the person that I've worked the longest with when it comes to marketing and business. I actually hired John from a Facebook group over 10 years ago in Austin, Texas, when we were working in a company called Digital Marketer. John really is the other side of my brain, and I think it works both ways. I can't imagine doing this work without him. John is also my business partner here at Smart Marketer. John sets a lot of the marketing strategy that we deploy here within our company. He also works heavily in the email and monetization side of the business when it comes to clients. How do we increase revenue from email and SMS? How do we make more money from the customers that we already have? And that's really what we're focusing on today. John is one of the brightest people in the entire world when it comes to the monetization side of the business. So you're going to want to listen up. We've jam-packed a lot of value into today's episode. John, thanks so much for coming on, buddy.
Thanks for having me. That was a very glowing intro. So I'm going to be lit up the whole time, which is fantastic. I can't wait. Yeah. And so today I'm really excited. Molly said, "Hey, I want you to come on and talk about monetization." And I immediately said, "Okay, let me talk a little bit about acquisition." So I started breaking the rules right away. But this is officially episode 2. I learned this fantastic hand gesture from this little girl in my son's Kid Strong exercise class. So she's 2 years old. She's already got her brand figured out. It's dropping this every time she gets an award. And I aspire to that level of being on it and knowing who I am at a young age. But yeah, I think
John,
today's going to be really fun.
seeing you do that is extra funny for some reason. So that's going to be made into a meme later.
I'll wait until I get the perfect one, right? Just like Hollywood style, we're going to drop it 50 or 60 times and you'll find the perfect cut. So that sounds great to me. But yeah, I'm excited for today's episode. This is going to be a really interesting one because this is talking about what I think my favorite thing is in marketing. And it is about monetization. And it is about acquisition. And it is about thinking about products and thinking about offers. It's really this big picture idea of how do we drive more revenue in the business, which is the goal we all have. And a lot of times we think, okay, we drive more revenue by running more emails, by sending some extra SMSs out. All that stuff does matter and it does help. But there's a lot more that comes into play. And there's some big picture decisions we can make early that are going to set us up to do much, much better. So we're going to learn about quantum marketing, acquisition versus monetization, and why the verse is not exactly right. It's more like acquisition plus monetization. And you will walk away from this presentation with your junior physicist merit badge because I have 2 different physics references in here. We're going to learn the revenue scaling metric for front-end offers. The only thing you need to look at, which actually now, if you have Shopify, is incredibly easy to find. We're going to talk about why you need to stop tracking customer lifetime value or lifetime customer value. There's like 18 different ways to say this, but we're done with lifetime value, right? That's not where we're looking anymore. We're going to talk about some top product strategies to boost AOV and your repeat sales. And we're going to see some real brands using this strategy to grow. So got lots of tons of stuff packed in. I think we're going to fit it all and have time for a little bit of Q&A as well, though. So
Yeah, definitely stay on till the end. And we wanted to give you guys a free resource like we do for every single episode. So we literally just finished this morning. So you guys are the first people to get your hands on our 2025 Facebook ad performance report. This is something we do every year. And essentially, what we do here in this report, it's 100 and some pages long. It is a giant swipe file of all of the best performing ads from our businesses and clients who allow us to share. All of their best performing ads from the last year. Also, our director of advertising, Dennis, who is a complete badass when it comes to meta ads. He has analyzed all of the ads and put some very actionable insights at the top of the report and throughout the report so that you guys can not only swipe and copy these best performing ads, but that you can really understand the thought process behind why these are working. So enjoy this free resource. You guys can go ahead and scan the QR code, or you can use the URL there on the screen to grab the Facebook ads report. We will also send this in an email with the recording after the show.
very nice. My senior thesis was actually on QR codes, but it took COVID for them to actually kind of kick in. So it's always fun to see one in the wild.
Yeah, John, David, what's up, David? He said, no lifetime value, inconceivable. All right, y'all. So now we are going into the numbers don't lie segment. John, numbers are your favorite topic. So excited to see what you have to say here.
Yeah, I think this is going to be super fun. I can't wait to dive in. So we're going to start this off by talking about a number that you probably haven't talked about before, but you may have seen because it actually is available for most of you straight away in your Shopify dashboard if you're using that tool. Customer value velocity. So this is a metric that measures not just what a customer is worth over some abstract period of time. It is the idea of how quickly your business gains value from new customers that you bring in. So it's about the addition of revenue to the value for your customers. So we're not picking some future date. I think the challenge with lifetime value is that it was always stuck in this idea of when does somebody stop being a customer, right? If they haven't bought from you in 6 months, are they still a customer? If they haven't bought from you in 2 years, are they still a customer? It's really hard to decide, right? If they come back and buy again after that, are they new? Are they returning? I don't know. You can spend a lot of time getting lost in sort of the philosophical components of that, but who cares? I'm not going to use philosophy to make decisions about how I spend dollars on Meta today. I want to think about something more actionable and useful. And so this is about tracking changes in real time. So here's my question for you. And I think there's like a poll function, so it'll probably pop up. But are you tracking this? Now, I'm telling you, the sort of cheat code, the hint that we will cover a little bit later in this presentation is it is available for you right now. I used to have to manually calculate this. And
I watched you do this for months and years.
there's some good things about doing the manual calculation, right? You can kind of clean it up, pull some outliers out, right? There's always one person who refunded 87 times, so you probably should include one person who was confused and they bought 200 orders and decided I'll just keep them all. So there's some weird data that you kind of clean up, but it takes a long time. And now that there's much faster ways to do it, it's actually really, really useful and easy instead of saying, okay, John, can you figure this out over the next month? There's some great ways to do it. So
John, so
let's see.
far, 92% of people are not tracking CVV.
Well, the good news is by the end of this presentation, you guys are going to be able to track this with no more than 2 or 3 minutes spent every morning taking a look at it. So I'm excited to have you guys kind of learn how this works. And this is where the quantum marketing component comes in and how this ties back to monetization. Quantum physics, quantum entanglement, right? Not going to go super deep in this. Doesn't really matter, but I think it's a good example. It's going to make this stickier in your brain. So you're going to wake up and think about particles. But the idea of quantum entanglement is that looking at one thing is going to tell you something about another thing, right? Two particles are so connected that when you observe this one, you find out what's going on with the other one, even if it's a million miles away. Acquisition and monetization are those two particles in our business. So somebody says, I need more money in my business. Frankly, a very reasonable request, right? Things get more expensive. You got to have more income. We are doing this to build and grow businesses that generate revenue. We often say, okay, let's squeeze the juice out. Let's figure out, can we send 76 emails this month without people coming and setting our office on fire, right? Can we push just a little bit harder with the monetization? And there's a time and there's a place to push harder with the monetization. Of course, that is a big part of what I do, is coming in and strategically figuring out how to send more emails. And the truth is, you can send 20 to 30 emails a month with a really no negative impact on your business. But the most impactful way to improve your monetization is not to go ahead and send more emails. It is instead to figure out, with what you know from your monetization data, how to acquire the right customers beforehand. Monetizing is easy when you buy the right customers. And that is what this customer value velocity metric is going to help us figure out. And the beauty is, it really brings the two halves together, because we're thinking about acquisition. How do we go find the right people? How do we get them into our business? How do we come up with the right marketing language to get them bought in? And then how do we continue to sell to them? So it ties that in with this idea of, we've got data on what do people come back and buy from us? How likely are they to buy a second time, a third time, a fourth time? This is that union point where we look at what's going on with acquisition, and it helps us say, hey, I know how I'm going to make more money in my business tomorrow. So this is the other physics component. And then I promise, no more physics. Don't worry. Also, I really love that word, but I have kind of a slight lateral lisp. So I picked the worst possible word, which has 17S sounds in it. So oops. But speed, right? You're all familiar with this because we all drive in a car. Well, you do, at least if you live in Texas. There's nothing is less than 30 minutes away. But speed, in theory, is useful, right? The speed, 11 kilometers per second, interestingly enough, is the speed you must go to get a spaceship out of the Earth's gravitational pull. Speed is missing one key thing, though, which is a sense of direction. So you could be going very, very fast straight into the ground with your business. And that is what is happening when you're not tracking what's going on with your numbers, right? We need to have another layer, which is why in physics we have something called velocity, which tells us what is the speed of something, but it also pairs it with the direction that that thing is moving. So I would rather be in a rocket ship that is going 11 kilometers per second upwards rather than one that is going 11 kilometers per second downwards. It's going to actually get me where I'm trying to go. That is what customer value velocity does, is it pairs data around things like customer lifetime value, right? Where we're glancing at what is going on with these customers, how much are they buying, how much are they spending with us, what kind of products do they come and purchase, with directional data, where we start to think about how this happens in real time. So let's apply this to real life a little bit. And my pop quiz for you is, what is Starbucks's customer LTV? Drop it in the chat. I don't think there's a poll for this one. I'll tell you, it's a little bit of a trick question. So if you get it right, I'll be very, very impressed. But there was a study done in 2004 by Kissmetrics and Avinash Kaushik, who is a really smart guy in web analytics. Really, really love his stuff. I learned a ton from him when I was getting started in the space. And they set out to take a bunch of Starbucks's order data and to figure out from that what the average Starbucks customer is worth. And they did this by looking at 3 different models, 3 different ways that they were sort of deciding, okay, a customer is worth this amount of money. And the truth is, they came up with 3 very, very different numbers. And so they did all of this really hard data analysis. They came up with some really good results. And then they took 3 numbers and they just sort of squished them all together. So we went from very structured and scientific to kind of a mishmash. I'll be interested to see what people do on this. But with the sort of most optimistic traditional model, $25,000. That's a pretty darn good lifetime value. Honestly, feels a little low based on everybody I know that likes Starbucks, how much they buy. Their kind of custom hand-built model, $5,500. And this sort of other middle model, right, around $11,500. So they took all this rigor, all this knowledge, all this data to come up with what customer lifetime value is. And they came up with somewhere between $5,000 and $25,000. And they said, let's just average it and call it $14,000. Now, how confident would you be as the Starbucks CEO to go out and say, you know what? Let's go spend $13,000 to acquire customers because we're going to make $1,000 for each customer. We can't lose. It's a money-making strategy every single way. Well, what if your metric leans a little bit more towards that 5,000 number? What if it leans a little bit more towards that 25,000 number, right? Did you leave a bunch of stuff on the table? And so we can't actually make meaningful decisions from this because A, we're kind of guessing, right? Because we're trying to figure out what does this look like over time? How does this kind of factor all these pieces in? And B, it's going to take a super long time to realize this revenue because this is also the average. Some people, like my parents, get Starbucks once a year under duress. They're not the people that you're going to get the money fast. Some people,
That's me, John.
yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? You can get coffee wherever you want. Catherine, my wife, likes to get Starbucks as often as she can justify it, which I think she works out to about 3 times a week, right? So she's going to contribute a little bit faster to that bottom line, which is great. No worries either way. But as a business, you can't operate on trying to say, is this a Randall and Beverly or is this a Catherine, right? We need to have more clarity. And so that is why I think customer lifetime value is a flawed metric. I saw a Facebook ad. I don't even remember what the business was. They were like, everyone that tells you lifetime value is dead, they don't know what they're talking about. This is the only way to grow a business. And I think it's a great number to have in your head. It's a good benchmark to understand, but it's not going to help me make any decisions today because it's kind of a gamble, right? I wouldn't go into Vegas and put $1 million down on a table, no matter how confident I was the next card was a jack. I just don't want to play that way, right? I want to play smart. And so that's why I like to look at average customer value. Now, this is from one of my old school manual calculations. And just a little bit, we'll see some data from Shopify itself, which is much prettier than these. But the idea was we basically took the month that a customer started, came into the business, and the amount of money they spent over time. So looking forward, one is really like first order value. So average order here was, $63 for this month, $62 for this month, dropped a little bit here. We took this data and we divided those number of customers by the amount they spent for each subsequent 30-day period. So it gave us this really good cohort model. This was only looking at new customers that had entered the business during this month. I don't remember off the top of my head what year this was from. So let's just say 2020, something like that. So June of 2020, there were probably like 2,000-ish customers that came in for this business. They spent, whatever 2,000 times $63 is. We kept looking forward in time and time and time. Then we took the next group who bought for the first time in July and then August and September. And we kept going through and calculating this. And we came up with some good benchmarks to help us understand the average amount that customers were spending. Now, sometimes it's a little bit higher. Sometimes it's a little bit lower. But in general, as we take all of this data and average it together, we understand what our customer value velocity is, the average amount that customers are worth at different points as a customer in our list. So from the first order, averaged to about $49. After the first 30 days, averaged much closer to $65. That's a very big jump. This business was fantastic at cross-selling customers, right? Don't expect it to be quite this high. At 2 months in, $79-ish, and 3 months in, about $88. Really great performance from this business. So hats off to them, right? Very impressive. But it's good because it gives us a sense of how do we make decisions? And whenever I'm talking to people about this, I'd like to think, how much risk can you safely afford as a business? Because the truth is, the more you can pay to acquire a customer, the more likely you are to beat out your competitors for that acquisition. The more likely you are to bring that person into your ecosystem and get them excited about buying more things from you. The more likely you have done the land grab of saying, this is where my business is. We're staking out this space, this industry, this niche, and we're going to provide the best products here, build the biggest, strongest, and most excited customer base. If you say, I can only spend $2 to acquire a customer, all of your customers are going to live in the same house as you because you're only going to be able to sell to family because that's not enough money to go out and play on paid traffic platforms. You have to be willing and able to spend. But we want to do it smart where we don't overextend ourselves. We can't go spend $13,000. I don't even think Starbucks can do that to go acquire customers because you're not going to make that money back fast enough. And there's no guarantee you make it all back anyway. So we really like to have this metric to help us make decisions. Let's look at some real examples of how to kind of put this metric into play. So this business, I did an analysis for them. They had maybe like 30, 40 SKUs at the time, and they had products that were single purchase and subscription. So they were selling the same products. Either you could buy it once or you could buy it where it got delivered to you every single month. And it wasn't that surprising to find that customers that subscribed spent 67% more in 4 months than customers who just bought it as a single purchase. But even the single purchase customers still added kind of a lot of value, right? By their third month, $61 on average spent with the business. That's not a bad place to be from 42-ish for the first one. But when they bought on subscription, it was way better. Of course, the first order tended to be a little cheaper because you have to discount your products if you want to try to get people on a subscription plan. Otherwise, why would they buy on subscription? There's no real benefit to them if there's not a financial discount or some extra bonus thrown in. So it was a little bit less money out of the gate, but by month three, $102.90. And by month five, $137 about. So very, very good growth. You're probably thinking, okay, thanks, genius. You came up with a lot of math to prove that it's better to have people on subscription than it is to have single purchases. But I also found, same business, people who bought product B, just a different product in their catalog, they launched a little later, were worth 22% more at their 90-day mark. So at 90 days, those people were worth about $142 and only $103-ish for people who bought that subscription product A. So sometimes it'll reveal obvious truths when we're looking at this metric. But sometimes it's going to reveal really important things like, hey, this product B is actually a better front end for our business because we add value so much faster. The initial order value is higher and the rate at which we add more dollars is better. So it was a really, really good insight for us that we probably want to push product B more as our front end product that we're having people come in and buy. Really, really interesting kind of insight for them. And obviously they were selling product B on subscription too, which did even better. But I think this is a more telling story about how this can be useful. So really we want to use this to help us understand what product we should be promoting. That is, I think, the real superpower of customer value velocity. And if we don't know what product it is yet, it's also going to help us analyze things we already have and think about how we can combine them, how we can stack them in such a way to create additional value and drive people back again and again. This was a different business, which I think is another important example because you might say, okay, so you figured out that we should sell products that have the highest AOV because we win. Great. Fantastic. But kind of obvious. Well, it's not exactly that either. This example for the CVV showed that a tripwire product, the initial order value was around $20-ish, right? And after 5 months, it was around $40-ish. That was basically a 100% increase in what a customer was worth from when they first came in to month 5. This other product, their more core offer, their first order was around $136-ish, 37, much higher. And after 4 months, so slightly shorter window time analyze here, it was around $222. So that was about a 65% increase. So you might say, hey, we should just go out and sell the core offer because look at this. After 4 months, $222. That's fantastic. This one, after that period of time, it's only $35. So why would I not just go promote the thing that has higher AOV? Well, the truth is they both look pretty good. I mean, this business is just a great business in general. But the ability to go out and scale was significantly higher for the tripwire. They were able to drive a much, much higher volume. And when you look at this in a vacuum, you say, well, it's the same amount of money. But the truth is they were able to go out and spend so much more to go acquire these tripwire buyers who then brought in more money in the same period of time. So this looks great if you look at it as an individual order. But if you think about the business profile as a whole, this tripwire strategy with a cheaper product on the front that added more value through the CVV was one that actually made the business grow super fast, right? Shot up to like upper mid 8-figure business. I mean, really, really incredible. All because they played on this tripwire strategy because we did an analysis of the CVV and said, this is where you need to keep your energy. Focus on this because it is the thing that scales, it is the thing that grows, and it adds value better than the expensive products, which are skewing your sort of perception if you just look at the AOV. So hopefully you're kind of thinking, okay, CVV sounds pretty cool. I don't have an hour and a John to go figure this out for me. So how am I going to get it? Inside Shopify, they now include this. They call this the customer cohort analysis. Now, Shopify added this metric in the last 2 years. I was doing this analysis back in 2014. So I'm going to say that it's still called customer value velocity. You could probably find someone from 1986 or something like that who was also doing this analysis who had a totally different name for it. So if I ever find out who that is, if you know what it is, feel free to tell me. I will give due credit to them. But CVV is a little more fun because you get to get that physics mentioned. But inside your Shopify dashboard, this is already included. Or if you don't see it here, it should be available in the reports section. So if you're not using Shopify, it's going to be a little harder to get your hands on. But it is not that hard to calculate, truly. And it's something that I think more and more platforms are going to add. There used to be a Shopify plugin that probably still exists, but I don't know since Shopify added this called Lifetimely. That was one I recommended, though integrated with some other third-party platforms. And when you open this up, we can see something very similar, but much prettier than what I showed before, right? We've got our cohorts by month, by year, new customers that came in. What was their first order value? How much did they spend in month zero, month one, two, three? Great. It gives us this ability to go in and figure this out. But really, the superpower is what we were doing in the examples I just showed, which is not just to go in and look at this data. That's how they initially had it, where you could just see the raw number. Now you can go in and filter by products in the first order, which is really where the secret sauce of this idea is. To go in and say, hey, I want to know not just what is my CVV, but I want to know what is my CVV if my first product sold is high brew, double espresso flavor coffee. It's coffee. So we know it's somewhere between $5,000 and $25,000. But you can go through and compare different front end products to figure out which ones produce the highest CVV at a scalable thing, right? If you've sold two of these products every month, the data is going to be a little wonky. But when you get up to 2, 3, 4, 500 plus sales in a month for that product, you're going to be able to really meaningfully compare these different things and use that to make decisions about what product you should actually be promoting on the front end, which I think is the real superpower we want to develop here. So I have an article where I go a little bit more depth, talk a little bit more about how to do this analysis, share a little bit more as far as examples. We've got more we're going to cover in today's session, but if you like this, if you think it's interesting, I definitely recommend going and checking that out to learn just a little bit more about this strategy, because I think it is super underleveraged and is really one of those not on platform changes you can make that is going to be more impactful than just testing one more new ad creative every single month. Figuring out that right offer with the numbers that actually give you the answers.
Love it, John. And as you said, this article will help you manually calculate the number too if you are not on Shopify. So shout out to the carpal tunnel that you probably have, John, from manually calculating that, for so many years. Okay, guys, so the next segment is This Just In. So this is where we quickly share some breaking news that's going on in the industry that we think all of you should know and care about. And it's cool. This news actually comes from a really cool VIP day that Ezra was invited to in New York City a couple of weeks ago, from Klaviyo. So Klaviyo, the dominant email platform for Shopify, just released some breaking news that John's going to tell you more about.
Yeah, so Klaviyo is unveiling their new B2C CRM, right? They really are going super hard on this acronym, which I don't think is a bad thing. I felt like it was a little bit confusing, but I kind of got the way to break this down. But it's cool, right? One of the first things just to note is it's good when a piece of software you're using is rolling out new features, right? The true death knell of a SaaS tool is when they say, hey, our feature set's good enough. We're not going to roll stuff out in the next year. If you don't have dev talent actively working on that software all the time, if they're not investing in making it better, it is going to get pushed by the wayside. So I just like this because I love Klaviyo. I think its biggest strength was its super strong native integration with Shopify. But this shows me that they're not just resting on their laurels of being good in the space. They're really investing and growing it. There's 2 or 3 big features to this, right? So they've got Klaviyo Service, Klaviyo Analytics, and Klaviyo Marketing. They talk about it being inspired by B2B, but built for B2C. The truth is, I think there's 2 or 3 big changes that are happening here. The first one is this Klaviyo Service, introducing a customer hub. So what they are doing here is building a integrated customer chatbot slash account manager slash order manager that lives integrated on your website. So what it really is basically turning your customer service chat into another owned media channel, just like SMS and just like email, where people are going to create accounts so that they can refund products, place new orders, talk to customer service when they need help, which is going to drive your overall CVV up because it's going to make it easier for people to come back and buy again. My wife worked on a big beauty brand a couple years back, and one of the biggest things she found was their loyalty program was this massive driver of revenue in the business. And this is basically giving all of us access to tools to start building our own loyalty programs, more or less. Much more easy and out of the box, right? You don't need to go hire a bunch of devs and have $1 million dev bill every single month to get this done, right? It's going to be built into the Klaviyo infrastructure. So new channel we can promote on that helps us bring in the highest value customers and is a better overall experience for them. And then Klaviyo Analytics is actually already pretty good, right? If you are a big Klaviyo user, you probably know that they've got a ton of great data in there. So that is not really changing. They've added some new metrics. There's some more revenue stuff, which is great. But really, what I think is super cool about this is they're integrating it into their flow builder. The biggest weakness of Klaviyo is someone that came from Infusionsoft, which now is Keep, which was a really awful tool to use for a lot of reasons. Sorry if anybody's a big Keep or Infusionsoft aficionado, but it had the most incredible automation tool I've ever worked with because it was super granular and detailed. We would spend days, literal days, in what we called the war room, with the room just full of whiteboards, writing down this complicated flow where we would move customers around in the automation. It was truly incredibly fun to do. And Klaviyo's builder has always been a little lackluster as compared to that. This Klaviyo Analytics, it's going to give us some new data, but more than that, it's going to give us the ability to do better, smarter segmentation within our automation in Klaviyo that's going to make those emails more profitable and for the end customer feel more personalized. So I think it's going to be a super good change that really just levels up something that was probably Klaviyo's like most B minus part of the platform. And then the Klaviyo marketing, more integration is always good, right? We want to figure out how to move people from email to SMS to customer chat back to email, keep them cycling through all these things. Klaviyo is trying to roll out more features to help handle this multi-channel thing because multi-channel is tricky, right? I don't have the perfect answer for when should SMS go into an automation sequence. It varies a lot business to business. It varies a lot by are you announcing a new product, promoting something that already exists. That is going to help us make smarter decisions about knowing which type of outreach makes the most sense at which point. So I think that's going to be a big lift. And that's really where I think that inspired by B2B piece comes into play. And the one that I'm most curious to see how they implement it because I really feel like it could be super powerful if they get it right and is good for Klaviyo because it's kind of a play towards the let's keep it all in one hub. A lot of people love to do the Klaviyo plus Attentive, which I understand because Attentive is a little cheaper. But this is going to be a case for, hey, let's keep it all integrated into one platform because it's going to be better with the single platform communication, keeping things consistent, less chance for data to get kind of mixed up. But yeah, I'm super pumped. I think it's going to be a lot of good changes. Really, I think the flow builder change is going to be the biggest one for driving bottom line changes for business, which is great, right? It's going to feel super good to have improved automation because customers get emails when they should. They get emails that are going to actually tailor to them, and your flow building is going to be easier to do. So I cannot wait to see a little bit more about what that's capable of.
And John, I just want to say that Klaviyo is far superior to other email platforms out there. And this doesn't just have to be an e-commerce play. So here at Smart Marketer, we're an info services business. We do not sell physical products. We are on Shopify and Klaviyo. So I just wanted to call that out. We're not saying everyone should do a migration as their big project for the year if you're not ready for that. But this isn't just an e-commerce play. And watch what Klaviyo is doing. They are the email tool that is investing the most into the future. And if possible, you should get onto Klaviyo, even if you aren't an e-commerce business. And we are not being paid to say this. So thanks, Klaviyo, for what you guys do. All right, y'all. So now it is time for action of the month. So this is exactly what it says. This is where we give you an action that we think you should take this month in your business or in your client's business to see better results.
Yep, I'm excited to talk about this. And it's one that ties together my other favorite thing, right? I like data, I like email, and I like offers. And
John, I
all
think
of
it's
these things,
also, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to add when, you and I do strategy calls at the beginning of the year with all of our clients one-on-one, just to see big picture, what they're thinking for the year, what their growth levers are. And this topic that you're about to cover came up in about 80% of the conversations that we've had the last 4 to 6 weeks. So this is very much top of mind across the board.
completely agree. And I think this is one of those things where as a business owner or maybe a leader in the business you work in, you have the most leverage. And it's something that is very unique that is not likely to be duplicated by AI anytime soon. Not to say AI
Yeah.
is bad or good. It's just one of those really powerful things that is not go write another email, go post another ad on Facebook. It is think strategically about what is the big picture direction we want to move this business, right? It is more 5 year plan thinking than go click some buttons thinking. So I really hope it inspires some good conversations for you guys to start thinking about this. And the short and simple way to say it is you have to quit selling products because products are one off and they solve something and the pain point is resolved. The, desire that they wanted to get to is done and on to the next business. Instead, we need to sell systems where we're increasing our average order value, but also where we're solving a bigger swath of problems. There are very few problems that exist in a vacuum, right? My nose is a little itchy and I'm able to scratch it. Does that exist in a vacuum? No. I had to take allergy medicine this morning because I live in Texas, which is truly God's country, but it's also full of the most evil, rancid pollen your life has ever experienced. So watch out if you come here.
It's
Um,
cedar season, John.
it's cedar season, baby. Yeah, it's rough, right? But there's no problem that really exists that is not tied back to something else where we could either start working on it earlier, we could start reaching our end goal sooner, we could start preparing ourselves for the state we're going to be in. So we want to figure out how to go away from products and talk about systems. So while we're kind of, gearing ourselves up on this, I want you guys to think about which challenge you're struggling with the most. Because these are all different factors that kind of come into play with trying to boost our AOV, trying to boost our CVV, trying to bring more revenue into our business. Customers buy once and they never come back. That happens a lot. Ad costs keep going up, but revenue isn't growing. Ad costs, right? Like I always say, the best time to buy a customer is 20 years ago. The next best time is today because it's just like planting a tree. It is always going to get more expensive. So you really need to figure out how to grow your revenue to kind of combat that because your business is not going to be done a week, a month, a year from now. And then
John,
every
I
month
love
feels like starting from scratch.
whenever you and I have this conversation, we try to, it's like, oh, traffic's really expensive right now. Then we stop ourselves and it's like, okay, let's be grateful because in 5 years, we're going to wish that we could come back to this moment. I think that
That is
will
so true.
forever be true. I also want to shout out Paul checked out his CVV in Shopify and he said it's already changing the game for how he's going to go about acquisition, John. So by looking at it by product, he's already dug up a change in the products he should be using top of funnel. So that's awesome.
Nice.
He's also in Central Florida. So we got you beat on the pollen. I don't, that's something you want to win at, but if so, Paul, you get the crown.
Yeah, Paul, gold star student of the week for sure. A plus. Nice work. All right, and let's see what y'all came up with. So, biggest challenges. About 20% of people said that customers buy once and never come back. 52% of you said that ad costs keep going up, but revenue isn't growing. And 29%, so about a third, every month feels like starting from scratch. So, this is interesting. It's a little bit more spread out, but the root of it is revenue is not growing. And I think that is something where this really ties into the bigger picture. Because if you shift away from you've solved the pain point with the first purchase to how do we have something that adds value to them later, right? It's not even that we need to invent problems. Problems exist everywhere. I could find 100 problems in this bedroom if I sat down and really thought about it. It's about how do we tie those into the mission that our business is solving. And so I think the beauty of this strategy we're going to talk about is it can solve all three of these problems equally well. But super interesting to see that data. Thanks all for sharing. So businesses that, kind of think about their business as, okay, I got to make all of my money with my ads, they struggle. That is a hard place to be. If you're making all of your money on the ad side of your business, it's going to be hard to play because of what I said earlier. The idea that there are competitors out there who are willing to pay more than you are to acquire a customer because they don't make money acquiring a customer. They make money by selling to a customer again and again and again. And I think that mental shift is the most important thing you could take away from this presentation. Forget the numbers, forget anything else. Just the idea that if your play is to make all of your money in the acquisition, your business is always going to struggle because the total amount of money you can make in the front end is pretty hard capped. And if you're having a ton of success and you're getting 8 ROAS and your business is growing like crazy, guess what? It's a space where you're about to have 100, 200, 300 competitors descend on it in the next 6 to 18 months because people are smart enough, tools are smart enough that everybody's going to find these, whatever you want to call them, blue ocean or secret niches or whatever. There's nothing that you're going to get to hold on to where you're going to get an 8 ROAS for the rest of your time buying ads. Unless, again, kind of the same sort of like if you're selling to grandma through your ads, you're probably doing pretty good, but you got no scale because you're doing it to a super targeted audience that's going to buy no matter what. So we have to figure out how to shift our monetization to the back end of our business because that is where profit is generated. And that is where we're able to effectively monetize without as much pushback from our competitors. So we want to make sure that we're prioritizing it because fun stat here from Bain & Company, 5 to 25 times more profitable than companies that rely just on front end sales. So ways we can kind of work on this, right? We can boost our average order value. That is super helpful, right? Not exactly the CVV, but it is something that we absolutely recommend and something we're going to talk about in just a second. We can boost customer satisfaction, which is going to reduce the number of returns. It's going to increase the amount of times that people are excited about our business and talk to other people about it. And we can increase repeat purchases, right? Which I think is really the biggest and most powerful lever. It doesn't mean you have to keep selling the same thing again and again, but we have to figure out how to have people come back and buy from us a second, a third, a fourth time. These different levers are some of the most important ways we can approach this shift away from products to systems. So really our winners are going to be cases where our shift to a system lets us boost the AOV, make customers happier because the problem, the challenge, the desire they have, they're able to fix the problems or achieve the desire in a more fulfilling way or faster, and increasing repeat purchases, making it something where we integrate into their life as part of this, not just as something that is a one and done solution. So here's a good example, theoretical business, right? Melatonin pills, selling supplements. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a good way to get into the space. Adds a lot of value. I don't take melatonin. I take magnesium as my supplement for sleep. I can't go without it. I go one night without it and I just wake up feeling like I'm in this terrible fog, right? That's great, but that's not really a system. And it's pretty easy, right? Someone is going to come along and make a better melatonin pill. Somebody is going to come along and make a better magnesium. That's just how it goes. That is the nature of things. But if I'm bought into a company's system where I'm buying their melatonin supplement, I've got their blue light glasses, I do a sleep consultation with them, I've got their better sleep guide, I have gotten their system. And it's not only that I have basically the same product, the melatonin, with other products, it's that I am emotionally bought in to the business. I have bought into their philosophy of improving my sleep as well as their recurring subscription product. And so my stickiness, even if somebody comes up with melatonin 2.0, I probably am going to end up sticking with the original company because I'm totally bought into the whole philosophy that they've got. I spent more money with them. I spent more money recurring with them. And I'm emotionally invested in having this company be part of my identity, which is a huge lever for really growing and kind of making things sticky. So how can you start doing this in your business? Well, the easiest way is to sell a system, right? And like the OG system sellers, I can still remember these commercials on TV from when I was a youth proactive man. I mean, they've got a pretty strong pain point to be 14 and broken out and just having a, typical 14-year-old experience. You're like, God, deliver me from this experience. And so this comes on TV. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. But the beauty is that there's no one magic fix. And so this works on all these different parts of it, right? They had probably a good, I don't know if it was the moisture, it probably was the targeting treatment, right? So they had a great pore targeting treatment. That was the thing they were selling. And they said, you know what? We need to go a step before this because if you clean your skin before you put the stuff on, it's going to work better. If you use this moisturizer after you put the stuff on, your skin's going to heal and replenish and it's going to actually work better. So they took a good product and they added a before step and an after step. And it not only made the results better, improved customer satisfaction, right? It also increased the AOV and made it stickier. And this worked so well that now they've got 3 different versions of Proactive. I don't really know what the difference in these 3 things is, but they went and they took the system of 3 that was so effective and said, let's add a couple more systems that tailor to specific avatars, specific problems, specific pain points. My guess is this is the adult one. The one on the far right is the, I actually don't even know. I don't know. But yeah, they took a problem they were solving, people with acne. They went away from let's sell them some kind of acne medicine and they said, let's sell them a full system that cleans, treats, and refreshes. So you have fixed, prepared, and refreshed, right? So powerful and something all of us can do in our businesses. You can also sell a solution, which is meaningfully different. So let me give the example. We had a student in one of our masterminds who sold shampoo and conditioner. Great business, super cool. Really, really like those guys. They really like to lean on scents as their selling lever. They're like, we got all these really great scents. We got all these really great, healthy natural ingredients. Super, super awesome. Let's talk about smell, 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 smell. I went and looked at their website because I was just giving them some feedback, and I discovered that like 80% of the searches on their website were people typing in shampoo for curly hair, shampoo for gray hair, shampoo for straight hair, shampoo for thin hair. I realized every single person that was coming to their site didn't care what the shampoo and conditioner smelled like. They cared about buying something tailored to their hair type. And that change for that business was like the biggest pivot for them that really helped them scale and grow, figuring out, hey, people are here trying to figure out how do I use your product to work on my hair. We're telling them how great it smells. We're not telling them that this, purple shampoo, specially tailored for gray hair to replenish, revitalize, re energize, give you that luster and shine back. That kind of shift really gave them so much more reach on paid traffic platforms and on increasing the value because then it's not okay, how many bars of shampoo and conditioner are you really going to be able to buy? Right? There's a cap on how many times you can use that. But to know that one is specifically formulated for your hair, you're more likely to buy products up and down that line. You say, okay, I need the shampoo and the conditioner, both of these that are this specific type because they fit for me, and this post shampoo, uh, you know, leave-in conditioner, right? Or this pre-shampoo treatment. It really makes it easier to sell more products, and it makes you the solution they go back to because it's not a novelty sale, right? Scent is kind of a novelty factor. They try the smell, they like it, they don't like it, they move on to the next novelty. You sell them a solution for them specifically, and they've bought in a much, much more deep way. And kind of in that same vein, this is, I think, a good example because I gather from Molly's sort of call out about Klaviyo, not everybody here is an ecom business, which is great, right? I love working in all kinds of businesses. This works even if you're selling non-physical products, and it works even if you have lead magnets that then lead to a sale. This is a business called, I want to say Sleep Doctor, and they came up with this test called the sleep chronotype. And it has been parroted and parodied and copied like a million times. But I think the sleep doctor was the original one. And it basically was, do you go to bed early? Do you go to bed late? But they came up with these descriptive identity describers for it, where really it's like, oh, I'm not an early to bed person. I'm a bear, right? This is I'm like the bear that hibernate. I have this like sort of energy recharge that I need that makes me tough and strong throughout the day. They have this, and then on the back, they're selling CPAP machines and anti-snoring technology and melatonin pills, right? Just normal sleep stuff, totally normal stuff. But you're not buying it because you need a CPAP. You're buying it because you're a bear and you need the bear CPAP machine, which you have learned is specifically optimized for your sleeping strategy. You're a lion. And so you got to get those lion melatonin pills. I don't know specifically what a lion melatonin pill would be, but they sold them an identity through a free lead magnet that people bought into and were more likely to come back and buy again and again because all of these different identity markers then were tied to specific products. So they were able to sell people more products at a higher value and have them come back and buy again and again because they weren't just saying, hey, buy a CPAP machine. They were saying this is a specially designed way for you, a person who's a wolf, who's a dolphin, to go in and get the best night's sleep you possibly can. So totally changed the way that people approached the products and the business itself.
Hey, John, I just want to add some quick examples for non-ecom folks too. This is something we do at Smart Marketer all the time, even with our information. So in our acquisition funnels or on our promotional pages, we will bundle together products and call them things like, I need more new customers, or I need to make more money in my business. And that will be a bundle of different products that will help them achieve that thing. So it is a system to achieve that end result that they want. John, even in our local restaurant here in my hometown that my husband runs, we have different avatar themed nights, and then we will sell them a bundle. So there's a girls' night, and you get, your choice of an entree and a drink and another special item for one price. Or we have boozy book fairs, and everyone that loves books comes into the bar. It feels nostalgic, like book fairs when we were growing up. and they'll buy a book and then they'll also buy a meal. That's very avatar based, but we're also selling them a system. So I just wanted to throw out some other examples here that are not e-commerce for you guys.
I love it. And yeah, I'm tempted to hop on a plane and head to Kentucky just so I can do the book fair one.
And then,
I'm
John,
all about it.
really quick, Paul said they feel like they're doing this, but they're doing it more when they're upselling. And I said, are you selling systems or bundles on the front end? And he said, we sell bundles, 2-pack, 3-pack, and upsell single jars. So, Paul, that's why this isn't working. It's got to be positioned as a system or bundle on the front end. So, this is a different kind of upselling than just more of the same thing, which can work. But this is, we have a client that has a daytime mouth guard and a nighttime mouth guard. They sell well separately. When they upsell the other product from the other, it works okay. When they position it as a system on the front end, like a product page that is the system buying those products in a prescription way, that is when this works really well. So I think that's the missing piece there.
Yep. Even if they come to you and end up just buying a single product, having had the system be their introduction to it is going to make them more likely to come back and buy the rest of the system later. Maybe people are not ready to buy the full system, but they get some good initial results from one piece of it. They know from that already that there's a whole system they could buy into if they like it, if they're interested in it. So it helps you cue that additional sales conversation too, even for people who don't buy into the system on day zero. So here's the quick 3-step system for building a product system in your business. First, you want to identify your customer's core problems. This is thinking outside the box of where you live right now, right? Your customer has a runny nose, you give them a tissue. Great. But what if we go one step before? What if we sell them allergy medicine? What if we sell them something that is going to, what is that? Navage, clean their sinuses out with this intense super water thing, right? You can step outside of the specific problem you solve and go bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's some point when it's not going to make sense anymore, right? We don't take this tissue company and start selling people melatonin necessarily, but you define where the parameters are and figure out how big the problems you want to solve can be. And where do you kind of go before the problem you solve today? Where do you go for the problem after you solve today? And you want to map that journey out, understand kind of the flow. People are struggling with this issue. What comes before it? What comes after it? Where do you think you should play? What do you think you should own as a business? And it's part of the mission and vision defining work too. It's going to help you go away from I sell XYZ physical product, right? It's not I sell water bottles. This is, I'm giving a presentation when I pick up every random object on my desk and hold it up. It's not that I sell water bottles. It's that I'm solving America's hydration crisis, which starts with a water bottle, but then you add in these, essential minerals that nobody's getting in their water anymore because of the filtration. And then you add in this like exercise program that's going to help people improve their body's general health and boost their overall sort of fitness and feeling good because you've used the exercise to help them get to a better level of hydration. So you can think bigger than you do and kind of define where do you want to work. And then you create bundles and products that solve all of those problems together. Or a system like Proactive where it starts with each different step, but you unify them together into a single piece. It's really as simple as that. And the beauty is you can do this with products you probably already have, find the way that they tie together and sell that. Or it could help you figure out what are the products you need to create over the next 12 to 18 months. We've only got these 2 or 3 products that we're selling right now, which already go together or maybe never will go together. How do we take each of these and build journeys around them so that there's more selling that we can do? It's great for you as a business. Boost your AOV. You can sell a system on the front end. Even if they don't buy it, they're going to come back and buy later. Boost your CVV. And it gives customers a greater sense of satisfaction because their problem actually gets solved instead of a super laser targeted fix that works well for 5 to 10% of people who only need that one piece. Most people need some stuff beforehand. Most people need some stuff after. Definitely, they all need this thing in the middle. You just have to build those bookends around what you're already doing. And I keep saying problem because problem-based marketing is obviously one of the best ways you can do this. And that's often what inspires us to create products. You say, I have a problem that I want to solve for all the people, not just myself. But you can also think about this in terms of desires too, things that people want. We can build products that get people to a desired end state because they want to be the greatest athlete in the world. They want to climb Mount Everest. They want to, feel more fulfilled in their relationships. All of those are great aspirational states where we can apply this exact same strategy. So it's not always problem based, but that's, I think, a good way to get the brain started thinking about it.
All right, y'all. Now it is the copy this win segment. So this is a really cool case study from a client that's just going to highlight exactly what John's teaching you right now.
Yep, sweet. So I've actually got two pretty quick ones. So the first one is from a client we worked with for a super long time. One of our first agency clients, actually, Ella+Mila. They have nail polish that's like super friendly to people of all types because it has way less of these super harsh chemicals in it. So when they started working with us, their first AOV was about $29, and for ads specifically, it was about $25. And after 6 months of working with us, it had jumped to 36 and 35 respectively. So somewhere between a $7 and a $10 jump in their first order value, which is pretty huge, right? And we used some of our CVV strategies and product development, system development strategies to fix this. So I'm curious, which of these products do all of you think generated a higher increase in CVV? Product one, the two-pack top and base duo, or the Founder's Fave kit? Drop your answer in the chat box. And I won't sing it out loud because it's not going to be an experience for you. But imagine in my head the Jeopardy theme song is playing because I'm going to give you all about 15 seconds um,
John, you've
to
got
make a
very,
choice.
very serious thinking faces here. Got allowed
Yeah,
to
where's the
answer.
thinking emoji? It's like this, I think.
Just put one or two in the chat, guys. Which one do you think boosted value the most? Two pack, top and base duos. So this is more around making sure your nail polish lasts longer, or founder's faves, which is a bunch of the founder's favorite products.
All right.
Oh, we're pretty
Do, do, do,
split
do.
on. I would say it's leaning more towards two.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's take a look at some of the CVV data. So, same kind of deal, right? One is first order, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 is months one, two, three, four. So, yeah, I probably got to change my graph numbering system, but it's not the end of the world. So, in this one, the AOV, right, for the two pack, around $53. Not bad. And after 5 months, the value, right, the CVV had increased by about 18%. That's pretty good. So it's around $62, $63 after 5 months. The founder's faves, on the other hand, actually started more like $65 with that first order. And by the end of the fifth month, value had increased to almost $90, 35% increase in the CVV. So huge lift. And obviously, this one's kind of a double win because the AOV and the front is better for the founders' faves. The two pack base and coat was what they had been promoting mostly before they'd started working with us. And it was doing well to traffic in a relative sense, right? It had a pretty good conversion rate, pretty good scalability, working on paid, but it wasn't quite kind of hitting that sort of catapulting growth moment. Shifting towards more products like the founders' faves was a huge lever for them because it not only boosted the initial AOV, because they were selling more stuff, more of a system. It had better CVV, and it also queued them for what I would say was really their biggest strategic move in 23 and 24. I think they've kind of moved on to some more like sticker and different strategies, but they actually, if you picked product two, you were correct. Sorry if I didn't say that directly, but they paved the way for this thing called Skittle nails. Basically, they were selling kits that were 5 nail colors together, which all paired very, very well and created this kind of fun multicolor nail effect, which was great because instead of selling people one or two or three colors, they were selling people a system that had a fun, clear visual, a great value prop because it was a really unique way to do your nails, and really boosted AOV because selling 5 bottles of nail polish quite a bit more on the front. And people had a lot more clarity how to use them too, right? If you go buy 5 colors, you might try a few of them out. You don't try them all. You say, "Nah, I didn't like this first one, so I'm just not going to try any more of these out." This gave them a way to try all of the colors at once. Really, really great system for them and worked well because they could also do lots of seasonal drops. I couldn't find it, but they had one that I'll never forget, which was their pumpkin spice latte one. Which, hey,
Yeah.
pumpkin spice latte basically gets fit into everything in the world. Um, but yeah, I think this was like a huge
John,
winner for them as a business.
how much did you learn about nail polish through working with this client?
Oh, it was quite the education for me. I didn't have much experience for it, but I painted my own nails. I painted my pregnant wife's nails. We talked a ton about safety with nail polish. I still have some of their soy nail polish remover. So if you are a nail painter or are married to or in a relationship with a nail painter, The soy nail polish remover is the best product that I have ever seen for that so far. So very, very good stuff.
Yeah, there was also some interesting tests here, John, because I remember we tried like a French manicure, which is an end result that a lot of women want, but you really only need 2 to 3 bottles for that. So this was much more effective because we could make the case for 5 colors and the top and base coats too.
Pretty amazing. And then I actually grabbed another one that I just pulled right before this for Boom that I also wanted to share really quick, Molly, because I think it was a fun example too.
Yeah.
So you guys know Boom, right? Ezra's brand that he launched with Cindy Joseph back in I think 2012, might have even been a little before that. Um, they've gone through some, big changes in the last few years, but there was a really interesting product they released about 3 years ago, which was the Boom Rose Nude, which was a new color. They had always had these three boomsticks. Um, this one says Berry Rouge. This is really their traditional one called Boomstick Color. It's what they called it for more than 10 years. And then Rose Nude, this was the first one they launched that was kind of a new color. So it was kind of a big change for the business, right? While I'm talking about this, you guys vote. Do you think product one or product two is the winner from a CVV perspective? I'm quite curious. This one's very, very different.
I don't know the
Um,
answer to this.
but, color was kind of their flagship product for before they had kind of done much product innovation. They started with the boom sticks, 3 sticks that were your entire makeup kit in a bag. And that was like the fundamental base of the business. And so they really kind of built themselves to the size they were on that, right? It got to be a, mid 8 figures business. Then they tried something a little different, which was a big shock, which was starting to make some new colors. And it was a big gamble, right? Hard to say if it paid off or not in a vacuum, except we have CVV data. So I'm going to assume votes are in. Let's see which one was the winner. So boomstick color, right? The first order was about $61 on average. Um, by month 3, so 90 days in, it had gone up to $67. So that was about a 10% increase in the CVV for a 60-ish dollar first time order AOV. Well, the boomstick rose nude, first order $85, month 3 $93, actually also a 10% increase. So what they found is that this change did not break the business model, right? The value that was adding to customers for CVV stayed about the same, but they were able to boost the first order AOV significantly with this product. And this, I think, was like the launch period. Nah, actually, it launched a little before this. I'm not sure why it was so much higher in March, April, May, but it held steady throughout the year that this lift was present in the first order AOV and the consistent boost in the customer value velocity as well. So this led to a huge change in the business. Oh, and just product two was the winner if that's not obvious. But this actually led them to making a big change in the business. They gave up the your makeup bag 3 sticks philosophy and instead rolled out all of these different colors, right? That's why Boomstick Berry Rouge is what it's called now instead of Boomstick Color, because they realized that, hey, we were so locked into what our product was in our minds, these 3 sticks, that we were stuck. And we had sold this to basically every woman in America at the right age had seen this product. This new product launch let them test the idea of, can we actually add a new stick without breaking everything in our business? And they realized that giving people more customization and more ability to pick up stuff would give them the ability to sell significantly more. So it was a huge opportunity for the business, kind of risky, but it paid off and it really helped them change their product strategy in a super good way for their business. So pretty cool to see CVV in action in both of those cases. Yeah, but super fun. That's all the big stuff I had prepared. But yeah, I hope you guys walk away from this thinking, if nothing else, don't build a business that relies on front end sales to make money, or you're going to have a really hard time. And looking at CVV in Shopify or manually pulling it yourself is one of the best ways to help you figure out what products actually work on the front end and build systems around those to change your acquisition strategy completely, to help you monetize better.
Yep, absolutely, John. And I think this takes more creativity depending on the business and the scenario, but this is applicable no matter what you are doing. Great job, John. Lots of good feedback here. Are you down for some questions?
I have time to take exactly 2 questions.
All right, just two?
Just two. I have
All right,
back to back to back to back to back to back meetings. So I
let's do it. So
want to do a
we'll
few
go
though.
in order that they came in. Bonnie says, we are a limited edition, one of a kind artisan model, struggling to find out if we can even shift our low conversion rate and invest anymore as a model for e-com. We are also a brick and mortar. She said, we have three main categories with price differences: jewelry, art, home goods. We also don't solve a problem per se. During the holidays, it might be solving for being known for giving an uncommon gift. During the regular year period, struggling to find a customer journey to solve a problem. I have an idea on this too if you get stuck.
Okay, you go yours for. I coughed right when you said it's decorations, but something specific about them. Was it antler decorations?
No, it's jewelry, art, home goods. This is
Okay.
artisan model. So Bonnie, this is tough. I will say, though, it's completely doable. We have a friend that has a very similar business model to you guys, even with the brick and mortar aspect. And she's gotten very creative. So, some things that she's done are promotions and funnels like, let's fill your office with beautiful artwork because it increases productivity, it helps you feel more relaxed. And so she has a funnel for her artwork that is specifically for people that work in an office or have an at-home office. And the reason that they are buying is to increase their productivity or to better the feelings, the vibes of the office. And then she has different bundles. The closet office is the smallest one, all the way up to the corner office, which I think comes with like 8 to 10 different items to fill your office. So I do think an avatar-based model would work well here for you, Bonnie. And thinking about how you could piece your products together to still solve a problem like she has done. And then she just speaks to different avatars and reasons they should fill their home or their office with this particular art. John, next question. In case your brand is not consumable, food, cosmetics, etc. Okay, so if you're not selling a consumable product, what do? I have a premium beach gear brand with a main hero product and some cross-sell products. AOV is possible, but I don't see how velocity can be increased. What would you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's like durable good businesses are the ones that I think struggle the most with this, but it's also the most important lever because it's very hard to be a beach themed gear company if you don't have a strategy to make more money because you also have like this huge off season challenge that you kind of have to work through. So ways to think about this are you can create additional value through speaking to not just one season, right? And there's something about your brand that pulls people to it that is not just beach gear, right? If people just wanted beach gear, they would probably just buy it on Amazon for better or worse, right? If it's like, I just need a beach towel, they just do that. Your brand has an identity outside of beach gear that attracts people. Maybe it's that you have a product that is, we knew someone that had a great product for wicking sand on the beach that had more depth to it than just being a beach towel, right? I can just go buy a beach towel at Target, on Amazon, whatever. They had this incredible towel. I bought some for all of my family because I liked it so much. But you need to think about your business. What is that thing? Because there's something you could be selling at other times of the year that it's not the beach that are solving similar problems to a similar audience. So taking a step back, right? It's not that narrow lens. You are not just selling boomsticks. You are providing beauty solutions. You are not just selling beach gear. You're adding value in a broader and more powerful way. You need to figure out what are those problems that unify people outside of the specific season. And then you can also create more stuff here by building more powerful bundling of it. So with beach gear, right, I think everyone's got the beach bag, right? Where you got the pool bag or you got the whatever, but you've got this like crazy 800 pounds of gear that need to be carried between your car and the location that you're going to. Creating systems that help you unify and organize and pack, that's another huge aspect of it, right? So just thinking about my own kid, my wife went and bought one of those super, kind of like Croc style bags. She bought what does she call it? Like a snack bundle. So it's something you can put all these different snacks in. She
I
bought
want a
the
snack
towels.
bundle.
She bought the phone holder for the yeah the snack. She has a really funny name for it, but Snackle box. Okay, I got there. TikTok inspired purchase, obviously. Um, But I mean, that like goes further and further, right? Because what does it do? It says, hey, you want to go to the beach, you want to go to the pool, and you want to focus on having fun, which means you don't want to get there and realize you left the sunscreen at home. You don't want to get there and realize that you don't have your sandals. You don't want to get there and your kid gets cranky 20 minutes in because you have no food for them. You can solve that problem with categorization, organization, compartmentalization so that they can have more fun. You can also do this elsewhere, right? It's not just about beach gear at that point. Then it becomes about, okay, you're a parent who's solving the problem of forgetting gear by building these all in one super packs of everything you need. And that extends for every season, right? There's going to be soccer season. You start selling the same kind of gear in this organizational strategy. I'm sure winter, I live in Texas, so our winter is like, 65 degrees. So we don't really have much extra gear we need for that season. But if you live somewhere else, it seems pretty darn cold.
John, I can't get over Snackle Box. That I guess is off of Tackle Box.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like it's got all these little compartments in it. So,
Wow.
you could put your tackle in it too, but we mostly put carrots in
Learn,
it. So,
we learn something new every day. And also, guys, this is where we have to be very intentional and flexible around the products and services that we sell. John and I, in the last 6 or 7 years of Smart Marketer, we have had a huge evolution in terms of the products that we sell in order to be able to do what we're talking about right now, and to keep up with the market. And so, as the founder, or as a leader in a company, 30%, 40% of your brain time should not just be on the marketing, but what products do I need to add so I can execute on exactly what John is talking about here? That is the main conversation John and I have with the founders and the leaders of the clients that we serve. Hey, let us do the marketing so that you can go focus on what matters, which is continuing to produce and release products that round out this product line that allow us to do exactly what we've discussed here. So, John, this has been amazing. Nathan said, I love that the SM ballers attend these shows. Pep, John, Diliana, lots of teammates. It shows the value and attention you're placing on this. Easy internal training too. Great work. This one time a month show keeps me sharp and engaged in the game. Love it. Thanks, Nathan. That's awesome. John, I know you have to run. We will wrap this one up. Next month, we will be back with Ben Bennett, our creative director, and we are going to dive into paid ad creatives, what's working right now, what that means for all of you to help scale your paid ads. Until then, thank you guys so, so much for being a part of this. Please share the show. That really helps us. Share it with anybody in the industry, your team, your friends, the masterminds that you're in, to really help get the word out about what we're doing here on the Smart Marketer Show. Shout out to our awesome producer, Arion, who makes all of this happen and keeps us organized, and the Smart Marketer team. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, we will see you around the internet. Thanks, John. Thanks, y'all. See ya. Bye-bye.